Welcome everyone to Wrasslin' Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin' Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when the new generation took over the WWF. Thank you for joining us. You are here with your host this week, Joe, and I am here with my co-host, Ryan Arico.
Thanks, Joe, and I'm sure it's pretty obvious to our listeners at this point that we're a man down today.
Yes.
Yes, Bartlett has indeed succumbed to ptomaine poisoning.
He's been defeated.
But no, in all seriousness, Bartlett is feeling a bit under the weather. So today it's just going to be me and Joe. And of course, with just two opinions, this might end up being a little bit shorter than our normal episode. But I think it's going to go just fine.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't spread his disease to his father, Rob. Well, today we are here to talk about the Monday Night Raw episode that aired on July 31st, 1995. And this episode starts out with a little preview from Todd, a little bit different this week. Todd gives us a preview of Yokozuna and Owen Hart taking on Savio, Vega, and Razor Ramon for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles. So a little bit different there. But wait. We get Vince's proper intro here right after. We go to ringside. We're seeing Mabel's entrance with his, what do you want to call them? Kingsmen, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good term.
We get Vince with Jerry Lawler giving us the proper intro for Monday Night Raw, and Vince tells us that King Mabel is ready for singles competition tonight on Monday Night Raw. And we're back. We have King Mabel coming to the ring once again, and we have our first match. King Mabel with Sir Mo defeats Nick Barbary in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Like I said, Mabel is carried out. He yells, "I'm the king," while taking off his king gear, handing it to Sir Mo because... what else is Sir Mo going to do other than hold all of Mabel's king garb?
He's just there to collect shit.
Well, and we've said it the past couple weeks, at least Bartlett and myself, the king gimmick is working for Mabel. The gimmick itself. He's still a shitty wrestler, of course. But the king gimmick, for me, it works. But the fact that this guy's getting a title shot and there's really no excitement surrounding that just kind of ruins it a little bit. As far as the match goes, Mabel pretty much dominates the match, throwing Barbary around into the corners. Barbary gets about 2 seconds of offense in real quick, but it turns around and Mabel actually takes Barbary to the outside, which was a little bit different for a Mabel match. Takes him to the outside, throws him into the ring steps. I liked this. I kind of liked it. It was something different. Mabel then brings Barbary in, misses an elbow drop. Barbary hits a couple drop kicks, but then Mabel finishes him off with a belly-to-belly suplex and gets the 3 count. After the match, Mabel grabs a mic and cuts a little promo, basically telling the crowd to shut up and respect him. He is your king, and he will be your king at SummerSlam when he becomes the World Wrestling Federation champion. Bow down to the king. Not bad. Ryan, what do you have to say about the match and the promo after?
I love any time a king of any sort gets carried to the ring. I loved it when they did it with Lawler, and I love it when they do it with Mabel. Again, we've said for the last couple weeks here, I'm in agreement. The gimmick, this king gimmick for Mabel, it's working. And to be honest, he got some great boos from the crowd when he screamed out the "I am the king" as he took off the crown and set it aside. He was getting some great heat. So, props to him there. And then he just goes to work on Nick Barbary. We actually get a pretty decent clothesline out of Mabel. And I give some props to Barbary as well for selling it. He's a former Jobber of the Week, but this wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. There's that spot where you said where Barbary actually takes over briefly, and he throws a series of punches to Mabel's face, and to my shock, Mabel didn't no-sell them. he actually reacted to the punches. He was like throwing his head back and backpedaling. I was amazed. After that, Mabel then reverses it with actually a couple okay looking power moves. He pulls off this reversal where he just kind of pulls Barbary with one arm and just tosses him across the ring, and it didn't look bad. Not everything was great. It is Mabel. He's not the best wrestler. You know, there's a spot where he tries to reverse a drop kick and he looks like he's trying to throw Barbary's legs out of the way, but he just kind of woofs on him and misses. And that part was pretty bad. But I have to say, at the end of this match, I was pretty shocked. The not no-selling, some decent moves here and there. Like you said, with the stuff outside the ring, where he was throwing him into the stairs, that worked too. You know, I shit on Mabel a lot, we all do here, but he was getting good reaction from the crowd, and one of the better matches I've seen out of Mabel, I think. And the promo at the end, it wasn't as good as his promo last week, but it still worked, and I'm really enjoying this catchline, the bow down to the king.
Yeah, and it was cool this week because it was in the ring in front of a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gushing 5 stars. 5 stars. Yeah, I mean, we're certainly not gushing, but with what we've had to deal with Mabel for months now, this was not terrible. We could tolerate this.
Yeah, it was a serviceable match, finally, out of King Mabel.
Yes. Moving along, we have another vignette from Fa 2. Once again, this is Make a Difference, Fa 2. This time he's just in the streets talking to us, telling us to do the right thing, telling kids to stay in school, don't do drugs. You know what, Ryan? At this point, I just want to see him in a damn match. I mean, this is a few weeks in a row now. It's not too much yet, but I feel like I just want to see him in a match at this point.
Yeah, it's approaching too much.
Yeah. After that Fa 2 vignette, we get a little bit of a replay with Jerry Lawler and Vince McMahon interviewing Shawn Michaels from last week, where it appears as though Lawler is kind of issuing a challenge to Shawn Michaels. We head to a commercial break, and then we get a backstage interview. Jerry Lawler is interviewing Shawn Michaels backstage, and they're kind of getting in each other's face a little bit. It's clear that they're building some sort of program here. I actually like this challenge. I like the fact that Lawler is not acting like a fucking goofball for once with something. Mm-hmm. When he's doing this, he kind of reminds me of like the heel version of Jerry Lawler that he was with like the whole Andy Kaufman stuff. He's kind of just being like that cocky guy. And to me, it really works and kind of shows that versatility that Lawler's gimmick has. What did you think, Ryan, of the backstage interview?
I thought that the backstage interview was pretty good. Last week, we kind of hated on the little end of Raw segment where Michaels and Lawler kind of went at it, but Shawn Michaels seemed disinterested at that point. But this was miles ahead of that. Like you said, just really getting in each other's faces and going back and forth really good. I mean, Michaels insults the King about keeping his jacket on and points to his stomach. It looked like that might have actually pissed Jerry off a little bit.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the oath.
Right. I mean, and that's my next point is I loved Lawler's angle here about this journalistic oath, and that's the only thing keeping him from getting involved in this match. You know, that was good. And I also loved Shawn at the end when he threw out the part about how the fans were begging me to get out from behind the commentary table and back into the ring, and they were begging you to get out of the ring. Everything that they were saying here works, unlike last week. The stuff with it ending and the King just, saying, if only not for the oath. Yeah, I agree. This worked for me, brother.
Yeah, it seemed very realistic. It kind of took me back to that the beginning of the Kiss My Foot stuff when Bret Hart came out and cut that promo on Lawler. It was like, oh man, this is like this is pretty good. This seems like it's real, it's not some stupid gimmick bullshit. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point.
Hopefully, it doesn't take the turn that the foot match did.
Yeah. I also think it's kind of weird that this is happening also at the same time where as Lawler doing this thing with Isaac Yankem, like it's just kind of, I don't know, pick one or the other,
Right. And that's kind of been the thing with Lawler for quite some time now. They have him involved in multiple feuds.
Yeah, he's kind of the jack of all trades to get some work with some of these baby faces, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the heel factory is not that great.
No, we've talked about that at length.
Yes. And that interview then takes us to yet another teaser for Goldust. This time we have the Fink announcing from Hollywood, California, weighing 260 pounds, Goldust. So we get a little bit of a preview there. Again, this is great. We know what's going to happen, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if we're watching live, we've got no clue, but we know what's coming, so it's definitely a good teaser for us.
And I have to say, with a character like that, and like the way he looks, this is a perfect way to usher him in. Don't let us see him until he actually like comes out to the ring.
Yeah, because it'll be a shock for a 1995 audience.
And that Goldust teaser takes us to our next match. Bam Bam Bigelow defeats Bob Cook in 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Bam Bam enters the ring with his little skip dance and the pyro. I have noted here that Vince loses his mind over this pyro. He loves it.
Whoa!
Yeah. They make sure they show the crowd in the front row very impressed with it.
At least they got the timing a little better this week.
A little bit. I have noted here, like, I hate to say this, but Bam Bam at this point is basically just Atom Bomb.
Except for his wrestling.
Yeah, but the treatment is like basically the same as Atom Bomb.
Oh, yeah. Treatment, absolutely.
Like, Vince loses his shit over the pyro, and then he doesn't give a shit about anything else with Bam Bam's work.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Bam Bam for me, he just can't work as a babyface. I just don't like him as a babyface out of the ring. I don't like him as a babyface in the ring either.
His character just does not fit itself for a babyface.
No, it doesn't. I also have noted that Bob Cook, he throws a hell of a working punch. And he knows how to work a guy in the corner. He was a pretty good jobber this week. He is not our jobber of the week, but did a pretty nice job, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty good Bam Bam jobber match. Again, I'm just not a huge fan of Bam Bam right now. I don't like what they're doing with him. I think that he's capable of more, and he's just so handcuffed to this terrible babyface gimmick. Ryan, what did you think of the match?
They come into the match, and Vince and the King, they're still talking about the King's oath. And apparently Vince has no clue what Lawler's talking about. So I like them throwing that part in. And then Vince follows that up with, maybe you took a hypocritical oath or a journalistic oath. Oh, man.
Wow.
But back to the match for just a second. Bam Bam throws Bob Cook around the ring, and the King says that Bam Bam had a big part in Kevin Costner's Waterworld. That he was the big sea monster that gobbled up Kevin, and all of the flames on Bam Bam's outfit was when he puked up Costner.
See, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about. Like, he loves the pyro, and then it just turns into a mess.
Yeah, this is precisely it. And then I'll try and fit a few more seconds of wrestling into this match. Just like you pointed out, Bob Cook starts punching Bam Bam in the face, and my God, do they look stiff. I mean, you could hear when they connect, and Bam Bam sold them wonderfully. But back to ignoring the match, we're going to talk about America Online. They're teaming up with the WWF. They give a phone number up on the screen that we could get 10 free hours of internet.
Boy, that takes you back, doesn't it?
Oh, doesn't it? They show this number up on the screen to redeem the hours, but it's covered up, and it says no longer active, but Vince belts out the number twice, so it doesn't really matter that they have it covered up. Of course, Bam Bam comes away with the win here. You know, it's a decent jobber match, although Bob Cook, as we've pointed out before, is a little bit flabby, but he does a good job in the ring.
Yeah.
You know, Lawler and Vince just didn't pay attention to this match at all, and that kind of goes along with how they're handling Bam Bam's career right now. You know, they're just not caring about it at all. I'm in complete agreement with you. Bam Bam as a babyface just doesn't work at all, and it just doesn't make sense. So I don't like where they're going with Bam Bam. This was a perfectly fine jobber match, but no one was paying attention, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I said the treatment was similar to Adam Bomb, but it's also similar to Lex Luger, too. Let's give this guy a big push. He got his big push at WrestleMania. He got the main event with Lawrence Taylor. And then just burial after that.
But with those two, like with Luger and with Adam Bomb, those both make sense.
Well, yeah, they suck as wrestlers.
Yeah, they're terrible ring workers. But Bam Bam isn't, so his burial just doesn't make sense to me. But
no, it's horrible. And really, with, you know, we mentioned it already, the heel factory is terrible right now, and Bam Bam would be a good heel. He would be a good guy to work with Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels.
Or Undertaker, you
know, whoever. It's a shame, really. But that match is over, and that will take us to another Dean Douglas report card, and I am going to have to mute these from now on because I can't take the nail scraping. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it. We get him cutting a boring promo on Bam Bam Bigelow. I like the timing of it just because, you know, we just saw Bam Bam in a match. So we get this promo on Bam Bam, but it's really just boring again. He's analyzing the word beast, calls him a walrus sans tusk. And that's pretty much it. It's Dean Douglas cutting a promo in front of a class that doesn't exist. No wonder this Dean Douglas run was so forgettable for me. I just think it's so fucking boring. What did you think, Ryan?
Completely agree. Boring is really the key word here. I'm sure Bartlett, even though he's not with us tonight, I'm sure he watched this episode, so I'm sure he loved the fingernails across the chalkboard part.
Ugh.
I actually got a slight kick out of the one sentence, the Bam Bam's face resembles a walrus sans tusks.
Yeah.
That line was okay, but the rest of it was just like last week, just boring and stupid. Although it was slightly better than last week's, only because of the walrus sans tusk comment. It's still a loser gimmick here, and complete agreement. I don't understand where they thought this gimmick was going to go, or maybe they didn't even care, like you said last week, where Vince likes to just humiliate top talent from other promotions. Maybe he just didn't even care if it worked.
Right. To me, it just seems like Shane Douglas isn't really into it either when he's doing it.
How could he be?
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely not working, and it's a shame, again, because you have a guy that can work in the ring. He can cut a promo. He's proven that already, but we put him in this shitty gimmick. But that Dean Douglas report card then takes us into a Jim Cornette interview backstage with Mr. Fuji, Yokozuna, and Owen Hart. Anything you want to point out in this interview, Ryan?
Well, I mean, I'd almost call it a promo.
Yeah.
It's basically just a big racist rant.
It's pretty bad, yeah. Doesn't age well.
No, it's just Cornette calling Savio and Razor old Chevys with dice in the window and bobbing head Chihuahua dogs in the dashboard.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, and then he calls Yoko and Owen, new cars with power steering and power brakes. And that's kind of the whole shtick, is just a racist promo.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So that interview then takes us to our next match. Skip with Sonny from the Body Donnas defeats Major Yates in 2 minutes and 26 seconds. And guess what? Major Yates is our jobber of the week. Take it, Ryan.
Thank you, Joe. Major Yates is this week's jobber. Major Yates was born Darnell Yates, but I have no clue where or when. He's one of these jobbers that don't seem to really have any history about themselves outside of their time in the WWF. Like the other jobber from tonight, Bob Cook. He's kind of in the same category here. Even with having his real first name, Darnell, I could not really find any other promotions he worked for or any other background information. And I must confess, though Major Yates didn't look bad in the ring tonight, the real reason I picked Major Yates was because all of us here at Wrasslin Raw had a pervy teacher back in high school called Mr. Yates, and he would linger around the high school girls' desks a little too long, and he was famous for wearing these tight white pants all the time. Man, what a creep.
Yes.
Not saying Major Yates is a creep, but you know.
No disrespect.
No. Anyway, Major Yates' first match with the WWF was a loss to Mr. Perfect on June 25th, 1990 on WWF Superstars. After that, Yates spent the next 6 years jobbing for the WWF, racking up a number of matches for the Federation, losing to superstars like Greg Valentine, Honky Tonk Man, The Mountie, The Undertaker, The Beverly Brothers, with tag team partner, unknown male wrestler, Repo Man, IRS, Quang, Donk, The Clown, not Doink, The Fake Undertaker, Waylon Mercy. The list goes on and on for this guy.
Wow.
Yeah. Major Yates' final match was against Skip and Zip at a taping of WWF Superstars on February 20th, 1996, losing in just over 1 minute with partner AC Connor. Major Yates' wrestling record, 0 wins and 19 losses.
Now that's a nice record there.
It is.
That is a jobber record.
Worthy of a jobber.
Yes. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, Ryan. Not much information there. Almost like another one of our witness protection jobbers.
He actually stuck around for a while, though, 6 years. I wonder, you wonder with people like him when they don't have any other information about themselves, but they wrestled this long in the WWF, were they just kind of like a backstage hand that knew how to wrestle and they would just use them when they needed them? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Well, good information on Major Yates. This match starts out a typical Body Donna's match. They both come out, Skip and Sonny cutting a promo. This time it's on Barry Horowitz. So they're continuing that storyline with Barry Horowitz. Sonny starts out the promo, calling people fat and out of shape. And then Skip starts yelling about being cheated and it'll never happen again. So they're keeping that storyline going, which is nice. Major Yates, I thought, was pretty good. Kind of wondering if maybe these two worked together before or if Skip is just that good with Major Yates as a jobber.
Well, to just give you a little information, because I looked over all of his matches, this is his first match with Skip.
Okay.
But if you would remember, his final match that he will have is with Skip in a tag team match with Zip.
Yes, later, right? You said February,
right.
I think. Yeah.
About a year later, yeah. A little less than a year later, yep.
I really like Skip doing this thing. Like, he almost gets caught a couple times and he's acting very relieved that it was only a 2 count because, he doesn't want to lose to another jobber. I really, really like that. Skip is doing the patting himself on the back, mocking Barry Horowitz. So Skip gets the win. He does the push-ups again on his opponent. So those are always nice to see, as well as the close-up shots of Sonny's ass while she's getting in the ring. I like how the cameraman just goes right for it. I really like the promos on the way out. Sonny and Skip cut a promo walking down the aisle on their way out. And Sonny is really coming off as a real bitch here, like bullying Barry Horowitz. And Skip is kind of the same way. So I have to say that I'm starting to come around with this Skip thing because I thought it was going to be, okay, we're going to bury Skip by having him, lose to this so-called jobber. But I like how he's doing this. He's really selling this story very, very well right now. Ryan, what did you think of this match between Skip and Major Yates?
I am in complete agreement again. I thought that the way they are setting up this story with Barry Horowitz now is really great. They start it with the crowd just chanting for Barry. And I don't know if there was someone before the break that somehow got that started. You know what I mean? Or if
Yeah.
it was just organic in the crowd when they saw Skip, they started chanting for Barry. And if so, that's fantastic.
Right.
You know, way to go, Barry, that you're getting that over with the crowd at this point where they're chanting your name during someone else's match. And then Sonny starts screaming into the mic about Barry right back at the crowd that's chanting his name. Just like you, loved the way Skip was playing up he's showboating again, and then this jobber comes in and tries to go for the roll-up pin just like Barry, and he gets out and he just starts screaming at the camera, "It's only two! It's only two!"
Yeah, it's like wiping his forehead, and yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Major Yates, actually, like you said too, great jobber. He pulls off a couple decent looking arm drags before Skip takes back over, and this was the only little bit ugly part. Skip suplexes Yates and he lands right on his head. I mean, it could have been a neck injury, but luckily Major Yates came out unscathed, and the rest of the match goes off without a hitch though. Making fun of Horowitz's back smack, just great.
Yeah.
And then Skip's final move where he does a suplex off the top rope. That was impressive looking. This might not have been Skip's cleanest match, especially with the suplex on Yates's head, but I really loved the continuation of this feud with Barry Horowitz and the way they're handling it story-wise. You know, the match was okay, but I am loving the progression of this story.
Yeah, I agree. Sonny and Skip are putting over a guy that's not even in the ring. So, you know, that's fantastic. They're putting him over so well that people are chanting the guy's name.
Right.
And it's working very well. So I agree. I love it. Well, that match takes us into getting ready for the hottest night of the summer. Todd Pettingzoo gives us a SummerSlam report.
Get those Stridex pads ready.
They are just really plugging the hell out of supersized Stridex pads this whole episode, and Todd plugs them again for sure here quite a bit. So far, we know we have a championship match between Mabel and Diesel for the WWF World Championship. Todd gives us some replays from Mabel slamming Diesel at In Your House 2 outside of the ring during the Lumberjack match, followed by a Diesel promo. For me, Diesel is much like Bam Bam, where he just doesn't work well as a babyface. What do you think about that, Ryan?
Agree. This was a complete lackluster promo that Diesel cut.
Yeah. It's bad acting.
And with bad acting is kind of, it just lends itself to what I was going to say, which is he feels uninterested.
Yeah, I agree. That's followed by Todd tells us that Bret Hart will be facing Isaac Yankem, DDS, which is followed by another visit to his office. And we get a big close-up of Dr. Isaac Yankem, DDS, and his mouth is just disgusting. I mean, they did a great job with this.
They did.
Making him look disgusting. And, you know, it's Yankem and Lawler looking into someone's mouth. We get that point of view. And they're talking about decay and pus and abscess.
Abscessed.
So, yeah, that was pretty good. I liked that one. Todd then tells us that Shawn Michaels will be taking on Sid for the Intercontinental title. And he gives us a little bit of replay on what happened with Sid powerbombing Shawn Michaels. Of course, they didn't show the bad ones, just the good ones. We kind of end things with Jerry Lawler saying he will be a dental assistant at SummerSlam, which is pretty funny. Yeah, so Ryan, what are you thinking about SummerSlam right now?
I'm not looking forward to the final match. Mabel versus Diesel, that sounds terrible.
Yep.
But there's a couple other matches that don't sound bad. Bret Hart, Isaac Yankem, looking forward to that. Shawn Michaels, Sid... You know, Sid has disappointed us time and time again.
Yeah.
But Shawn Michaels has been able to pull good matches out of people like Bundy. So, or maybe not good matches, but entertaining matches.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about that match. Outside of that, the promo was very short, but very entertaining still. Which is part of the reason I'm looking forward to the Isaac Yankem Bret Hart match. They've done a really great job of leading up to it.
Yeah, they have. And we know what his future is, and we know that he's a good wrestler. And it's going to be interesting to see him in this role for a short period of time, for sure. Well, that takes us into a little preview for next week from Todd Pettingzoo once again, telling us that next week, Diesel has one Mo mission to accomplish. Oh boy, we're going to get Diesel versus Sir Mo next week.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And that's going to take us into our final match. Yokozuna and Owen Hart with Mr. Fuji and James E. Cornette wrestling in a match for 14 minutes and 19 seconds against Razor Ramon and Savio Vega for the Tag Team Championship. Notice how I didn't say who won the match. There was no declared winner, and we will get into that. On the way into the ring, Razor Ramon and Savio Vega, gotta say, I still like their entrance together. I think that it works with Savio, kind of, Savio's a high energy guy, but I think he can work in this low energy format as well, so I like it. And they meet up with Barry fucking Dudensky, who is selling a shirt, a Razor Ramon shirt that says, "Say hello to the bad guy" on the back.
It's a nice shirt.
It is a nice shirt, yeah. I like this one. And of course, Razor plays around with Barry a little bit, throws the shirt over his face. Pretty funny stuff. I gotta say that I love Owen Hart wearing both belts when he's in the ring. I love it.
Because it won't fit around Yoko.
No, it won't. And he's such a dick. He's just such a good heel. I love it. Owen Hart and Savio Vega start things off, and holy shit, Owen Hart is working tonight. Entertaining as hell. Really, really putting over Savio here. Savio tags Razor in, and Razor gets some offense on Owen as well. Owen does those reversal flips out of an arm bar. He makes it look just so fucking effortless. It's just amazing. And Owen here is taking a beating. He's really taking a beating almost like a jobber in this situation. And then comes Yoko. Now, normally, I would think, oh, this is going to be bad,
Yeah.
It wasn't horrible. Yoko is displaying his intimidating size here, and Razor does a pretty good job of working with him. He tags in Savio Vega, and we've seen these guys wrestle before at King of the Ring, and it wasn't too bad. And Savio starts, he puts a little beating on Yokozuna. So the guys who are supposed to be the champs here are taking a beating for a while early on in this match. Both Yokozuna and Owen Hart, I think, are doing an excellent job during the first half of the match, allowing us to believe that, these tag titles might actually change tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's great to have that feeling during a match. Jerry Lawler's racist comments are disturbing during this match, and I know people would say, oh, it's 1995, but fuck that. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was horrible. So Yoko leaves the ring. He's catching his breath. He comes back in. He tags Owen, and the champs are getting their offense in now. So now we have Yoko and Owen on the offense. I was wondering here, have we seen a bonsai drop since they formed this tag team?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, and I kind of, not to sound like an asshole or anything, but I wonder if he can even still do it,
It's possible, yeah.
I mean, he is bigger.
He might be a workplace hazard at this point.
Yeah. So while they're getting their offense in, the tag champs, that is, they pull a great tag team move here. Owen gets a drop toe hold on Savio, and then Yoko comes in and hits the leg drop. Nice tag team move by these two. Yokozuna gets some stomps and chops on Savio, and then we get the Vulcan nerve pinch. And again, I'm thinking, oh shit, here we go. But it didn't really last that long. Yoko just had to catch his breath a little bit. Razor comes in, gets a little bit of offense, hits a bulldog from the second rope, and goes for the cover. But pay attention here. Owen Hart comes in and breaks it up. Some great tag team work by Savio Vega and Razor Ramon after Owen breaks that up. They're getting the crowd really hyped up here. Again, thinking maybe these guys might win the tag belts tonight. They're throwing their opponents into each other. They're doing double clotheslines. The crowd is popping their ass off. And the Razor's Edge signal has been given. Again, the crowd is popping for this. Gets the Razor's Edge on Owen Hart and gets the 3 count. But wait a damn minute. He's not the legal man. He's not the legal man.
James E. Cornette.
James E. Cornette comes in and starts flipping out like a baseball manager would do with an umpire.
Kicking dirt.
Kicking dirt. Yeah. You know, this was clever to me. This was a clever finish with Owen not being the legal man. Everything leading up to it was really great. So Earl Hebner, the referee, admits his mistake and has the timekeeper restart the match, and also ordered that James E. Cornette leave ringside immediately. And the match restarts. I have to say they kind of lost me here. They lost me with the restart a little bit. There were a lot of near falls. And they kind of lost the crowd a little bit, too, after that non-finish. Vince then teases us that this match will restart next week if they need to go off the air. So that kind of ruins it, too. And holy shit, they went off the air. Right? Razor Ramon is signaling for the Razor's Edge again, and they go off the air. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this match?
I am in complete agreement with you yet again. This was an absolute shock. Not because of Owen Hart, Savio Vega, or Razor Ramon, but because of Yokozuna.
Yeah.
I was absolutely shocked at not just the ring work that Yoko put in here, but the length. The length of this
14 minutes,
match.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you count everything, it was approaching 20 minutes, you know, with the entrances and the restart of the match and all that. I mean, this was a lengthy match for Yoko that we have not seen him in quite some time. And just as you mentioned, the ring work with everyone here was pretty spot on. Owen comes in first with Razor, and they're going back and forth. Just selling is phenomenal. It's off the charts. When Yoko comes in, I was just like you. I'm like, oh shit, here goes the match. And then Savio starts working on him, and Yoko's selling for him good. And then Savio nails that drop kick, and Yoko rolls over the top rope. I mean, I was like, holy shit. Way to go, Yoko. And he goes out there and, you know, he starts to collect himself. That's the point where the king decides to bust out some more racist remarks about Latinos with Taco Bell and guacamole and stuff.
Yeah.
I really don't get what it is, but yeah, tonight that was really their thing, I guess, was making fun of Latinos.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you know, black mark on the match, you mentioned the drop toe takedown that Owen Hart does into Yoko's leg drop. Agree. That's a great looking finisher. You know, it incorporates both of their styles perfectly for this finisher, right. You know? And then the nerve pinch comes, but as you said, doesn't last long. Plus, they timed it up that it was just for the commercial break. So we barely saw it. We come back from the commercial and it's back to action. And I loved that diving bulldog that Razor did from the second rope. You know, he nailed it on the big guy and Yoko sold it. You know, it's a shame that this match ended the way it did, you know, because we had some of the best back and forth that we've seen out of the Owen Yoko tag team belt era. I don't think there's been a better match than this one.
No.
As tag team, or a longer one. You know, I was so involved and actually interested in this match, and then I catch that tidbit where Vince says, next week, if we don't conclude, we will restart this match, and I think to myself, holy shit, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later, sure enough, I see the copyright, Titan Sports, all rights reserved text come up, and boom, it goes to black. Oh, man, what a way to ruin, the best match I've seen out of Yoko in a very long time, and it was ruined with a terrible ending. What a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. And it's not something that's terrible, but I don't know. If you're going to do this like once a year, I guess it's okay. But it's just really disappointing, like you said, that this was like the first really, really good tag match we got out of these guys.
I mean, we already got the restart. You know what I mean? Like,
I know, yeah.
This is the double dipping. You're double dipping here.
Or if you're going to do this, do it on a pay-per-view so that you keep going and you have a winner.
Right.
Yeah, it's disappointing for sure. Well, that was it. The show went off the air, so that'll take us into highlights and lowlights. I can give you mine first. I think for me, the highlight here was the story building between Skip and Barry Horowitz. You know, again, I feel like this is cleverly done rather than just burying Skip. He's going along with it, and Skip and Sonny are being good heels by getting that heat and getting Barry over without even being in the ring. For me, the low light was easy, just the finish of this show, not giving us a winner in that great, great tag team match.
Mm-hmm. My highlight and low light is going to be a little bit odd. My highlight is the final match, Savio Vega, Razor Ramon versus Owen, Hart, and Yokozuna. The first 13 minutes of it. This was something I didn't think Yoko had in him anymore. And I was absolutely shocked by the first, like I said, 11, 12, 13 minutes of this match.
Yeah.
It was something that I've been waiting to see out of this tag team. And my low light, the last minute and a half of this match.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they went this long on this match. And by the way, where was this 20-minute match last week with Hakushi and Bret Hart?
Yeah.
Why couldn't we spend 20 minutes on that match? But yeah, you know, what a way to end what was a great match. It was fucking crazy. I can't understand that we're going to get a rematch next week, and it's probably not going to be as good. I just don't like being strung along like this.
Right. I agree that, you know, we're going to get this again, and we already know, like, okay, I don't know if it can be that good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's disappointing. But yeah, great entertainment for 14 minutes and 19 seconds for sure. So that'll take us into our news section here. I was combing through the Observer and saw some more information about Jeff Jarrett. Supposedly, Jeff Jarrett's father, Jerry, did an interview in the Pro Wrestling Torch and said that Jeff believed his character was being burned out too quickly. He was unhappy with the direction of his character in the WWF. His departure was an accumulation of many things. He didn't feel his character was being utilized where he would have longevity. The belief is that Jeff felt the combination of dropping the title and being exposed as a fraud singer, both in his hometown, would do too much damage to him in one night. So I guess Jeff just didn't like the timing. He wanted this storyline to continue a little bit longer. It is confirmed that WWF is hopeful that both superstars will return. I think they mostly want Jeff Jarrett, but we got the roadie involved here too. One of the reasons why they can't really drop it from television is that there is a lot of money tied up in marketing of the song. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is funny. You know, I kind of agree with, I guess let me restart that. I somewhat agree with his stance, you know, in that he was really falling hard that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know, he's dropping the belt. He's being exposed to the fraud. His roadie is turning on him, you know, everything. But, you know, as we talked about before, I thought the burn on this was perfect. It was months long.
Yeah.
I understand that he may be concerned as to how much he's being buried. You know, who knows where that would have went, how much he would have fell down the card. But
yeah,
this is an example where I think he's maybe just being a little bit selfish, because the storyline was really great, and I think the crowd and audience was really into it and involved. And I think he just backed out because he thought it was hurting him a little too much.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get that Bam Bam treatment later.
Yeah, which is, again, like I said, understandable. But
yeah, and Meltzer kind of made a good point here, too, saying that now the WWF has twice as many pay-per-views. So if you're going to go ahead and let this story reach its peak already, then you have all these pay-per-views that you're kind of wasting with that storyline in particular. So,
you know, you wonder how much it is being wasted, though, because I would imagine if this was to have gone forward without the Roadie and Double J leaving, it would have been a feud between Roadie and Double J, right?
Yeah, right.
And I was involved with that. I would have been interested.
Yeah.
You know, even though the Intercontinental belt isn't involved in here, I was involved in that storyline and I enjoyed it. I would have followed it.
Yep.
So I don't think there would have been any problem moving forward with that.
Yeah, I agree. In other news, it's looking strong that WrestleMania will be held at the Pond in Anaheim, California. So that is quite the location change from normal WrestleManias, going out west. Sid has bone spurs in his neck, so he has been sitting out some house shows. Not sure how serious that injury is, but we'll see what happens with Sid. And apparently during this time, the WWF was trying to work out a deal with Mongo McMichael and William the Refrigerator Perry to perform as a tag team at SummerSlam. So Vince is still trying to get these football guys in for pay-per-views.
But as we know at this point, this is right around where McMichaels ends up at WCW, right?
Yep, that's the end of it there. The deal never came to fruition, and McMichael ended up with WCW. So
there you go.
Yeah. Didn't happen, but I do think it's interesting that Vince is still trying this football collaboration all the time.
Yeah.
And last thing to note here is that Dave Meltzer notes that the Dean Douglas report card segment was no better than the first, and I think we agree with that.
Well, I think I said it was slightly better, but only because I laughed at the Sans Tusk
walrus. Yeah.
But I agree. Not much better.
Yep. Well, that'll do it for our show this week. We want to thank you for listening. And if you would like to connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or Reddit, just search Wrasslin Raw. That's WRASSLINRAW. Next week, we will recap the Monday Night Raw episode that aired on August 7th, 1995. So for Jason and Ryan, I am Joe, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.